Hi everybody, Martyn at Flicker Feathers again today, and I'm tying an absolutely deadly fly for saltwater and freshwater predators, and it's Bob Popovic's Semper Fleye. As always, I'll stick a materials list in the description for anybody that needs it, and a link to the Patreon page for anybody that wants to support the channel, get access to the monthly tying classes, and into the giveaways. Right, so I've got my hook and my vise, and I would say hook choice on this is fairly personal. Some people like a slightly longer shank. I'm using an SL12 and this is a 4.0, so it's quite a big one. I've got to make the fly that's 6-7 inches long. But there's plenty of hooks that are suitable. And this fly is actually really simple, and it's, I mean, obviously if you think about like the sea juicer, it's sort of the natural evolution of that. And as I say, originally a striped bass fly, but I mean I like it here in Japan. For the sea bass here, it's a different species. Black bass eat it, pike will eat it, all sorts of things. Right, so I've got a bunch of bucktail here. I'm just going to clean out the shorter hairs, and then I'm going to tie it in. Like, I'll make the tail like 2 hook lengths, and that's got to give me some space behind it for the hackle feathers, the saddle hackles, to sort of swim freely. So I'll just take a couple of wraps, and then I'll just sort of encourage it to envelop the hook and tighten up. That's not bad. I'll run forward, make myself a wee bed, a wee secure tie in, and then just cut that at an angle. Oops. And then I'll just come in, and I'm just using 210 UTC here in white. You can use monofilament, up to yourself. I like an absorbent thread because I don't use super glue, I use nail polish, for the simple fact that super glue is no saltwater safe. Right? Saltwater gets it, and it can rehydrate, or it can crack, and it's not actually doing anything, whereas the varnish can soak in. Once it's cured, the salt water doesn't affect the varnish in any way. So I get that on over my bucktail, and I'm going to grab some hackles. Right, these are just strong saddle, but you can use it from a nice saddle as well. And what you want is the long, sort of limp, or slightly limp, skinnier feathers. Right, don't take these and try to put them in the tail. Right, you want the narrow feathers for the tail. These ones will do the head. And basically I'm just going to tie these around the bucktail and put them in, and I want the feather, I want like 1/4 to 1/3 of the feather sticking out beyond the bucktail. And I've got a load of these ready. And I'm tying them so that the feather cups in, right, the outside of the feather, the convex side of the feather is to the outside of the fly, so that it curves around the bucktail. The bucktail is just going to support these so that they don't fill. And then, as I say, just work your way along, work your way around, getting them in. It's a bit long, that one, maybe just draw that in. And I don't worry about them being exactly the same length. The fly actually, I think, swims better if these are varied in length. Just getting them in nice and tight. and you can see there I'm leaving the fuzz, the sort of marabou like fluff at the bottom. That's 4. And the number of feathers will depend on the size of the fly you're tying, the quality of the feather. Just get them in, just hold the feather where you want, take a couple of wraps. Because you're leaving some of the fluff, it shouldn't try to roll on you. And maybe one more here. So that's about, you need, I mean, as I say, it will depend on the size, but you're probably looking 6 to 8 feathers. That's usually what I end up using for these slightly bigger patterns. But again, go with what you like. I'm just trimming away these butts, waste pieces. I'll sort of tidy up, tie back. So you can see there you've got that nice long slender tapered tail, and that coupled with the bulk of the head, it just makes that swim amazingly. Now before I go any further, I'm going to just come in and saturate this with my varnish, right, my nail polish. Get plenty on, and I'm going to tie over it to finish tidying this up. Because it's all absorbent materials, right? The butts of the feathers, all that marabou stuff, the thread, it can soak in. You can sort of push it in, wipe away any excess. It's still kind of tacky, which is fine. I'm going to grab 2 big webby, 2 of my big webby saddles, and I'm going to line up the tips. Right, I do the hackling 2 at a time. Now this first bunch, this first pair, I want plenty of this marabou, so marabou, you know, the kind of fuzz. Get them in, and it's a good idea to have the feathers ready so that when you go to tie it, I mean, it speeds up the tying process, but also it means that you're going to be winding these so that the stem's pressing into that cement that's not quite set yet. I'm just folding these and winding them, and I'm just going to use up the hackle until the barbs start getting a wee bit sparser and a wee bit shorter, which is about there. I'll tie it off. Take it down a good few turns, fold it back, tie over, and break away those tips. Again, things like that, it's just making the fly tougher. More head cement. Another 2 webby feathers, and I'll still leave some of the fluff on these 2. Again, trim away the waste. And wind. And don't let any gaps creep in between your wraps of hackle, right? Get these wound tight. You want the density of the hackle to push a bit of water, create a bit of turbulence, right? That's what really makes the tail swim enticingly. The turbulent stream. Same again when the hackle starts to thin out. Come in, trim away the waist, fold everything back, tie over it. Cement. Drop some on my desk there. Not to worry. It's a bit stiff. I'm just going to get another hackle. I didn't like one of them there. And if you don't like it, don't use it. Now, this pair at the front, I don't know that I need that much of the fluff. It's up to you. If you want it to be fluffier, you know that it does add movement, and that sort of marabou fluff at the bottom of the hackle. But there's quite a lot of movement in here anyway. So, same again. But I've stripped a bit more of the fuzz away, tying it in further up. And I don't know, I think you'll be able to see that that's still wet cement there. It's sort of splurging through the thread wraps there. And I just keep winding. Obviously, if you tie a smaller one, you'll need fewer hackles for the head. As well, because it's just filling the hook. And I'm going to just use this up, get right up to the hook eye, and tie it off. Right, you can have quite a neat wee head on this because it's only a couple of hackles. Fold everything back and build your wee tidy head. Right, a wee neat head is nice and durable. Two whip finishes, put it nice and tight. Because I'm using the 210 thread, I can really pull in that knot to make sure it's secure. I'll trim my waist. And before I varnish it, I always like to sort of stroke the fibres to the front. It helps to knock the twist out of the hackles, and then I can sort of slick it back. I mean, when you fish it, that will sort of start to take a bit more of a rearward shape, but it's very dense, right, and it creates a wee stream, and that's what makes this back end just swim. It's an amazing fly in the water, this. I mean, the sea juicer's good enough, but this is even better. So again, just head cement's fine. It soaks in. It's absorbed all the way in. It cures all the way in. It's saltwater resistant. It's the good stuff. So there you go. There is the Semper Fleye. If you fish bass in the saltwater, regardless of the species, I'm sure they'll eat this. But basically any predatory game fish will have a go at this, I reckon. So I hope that was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to hit the like button, and I'll see you for another video. Tight lines, guys. Bye.